does this mean that United are back in business, or is there a bit longer way to go for them?
It's so tempting with, I suppose, any sport, football, with the attention and Manchester United of all clubs in world football, to jump to wild conclusions. It has only been, I would say, I mark it very clearly, the last 4 games. Winning 3 in a row. Well, Ruben Amorim had not won 2 in a row in the Premier League since he joined until the last month or so. He's had to endure all levels of criticism based on how stubborn he is, not changing his style, how he's disenchanted the likes of Kobe Mainu and Alejandro Garnacho, just wildly popular academy graduates. And this is a club that really, it's not just me being biased as a Manchester United fan, but Manchester United as a club has for decades and decades relied more heavily than most clubs on its academy graduates. It's an astonishing record. In fact, I think it's 1937 was the last time there was a match without an academy graduate in the Manchester United squad. So the way Amorim had not trusted Garnacho, who's just such a talented player that didn't fit his system, Kobe Mainu, who isn't quite the right type of central midfielder. So to turn it around in 3 games to this is impressive. To this means a more direct, faster, more reactive side that can cope with different situations better. What's actually changed? The system is still the same. The number 10s, Ryan Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha, were brought in. They are more aggressive. They drop deeper to help protect the midfield a little bit, but the formation largely hasn't changed. They're an aggressive side now. Okay, drawing with Nottingham Forest away, Nottingham Forest are in absolute chaos, 3rd permanent manager already this season. So perhaps it's a bit disappointing not to win that. But it is only 4 games unbeaten. I would say a successful season for Manchester United would be, well, a very successful season would be qualifying for Europe, which means they would need to finish in the top 6 or 7 places. That certainly looks possible now. But there's always a but. We are only a few games into the season, and clubs like Sunderland are wildly outperforming expectations. It's actually a very interesting Premier League table, isn't it, Alan? Because we've got powerhouses not quite being as consistent as we thought they would be. Newly promoted sides traditionally struggle, well, in any league, but mostly in the Premier League. And we're seeing Sunderland, who were 2nd going into last weekend's round of games at one point. So definitely not back completely. But for the first time in a long time, you can feel calm, confident about Manchester United going into future fixtures. The win against Liverpool obviously stands out, and emotions are.
Liverpool, we see here, they've had a bit of a bad run, this course of from the BBC Sports. So Liverpool have had a bad run. They started to recover a little bit now, but at the same time, they're they are very, very shaky. Arne Slot, he's aged years in the last couple of weeks. Liverpool fans, of course, I would say being a little bit immoderate with their expectations of Liverpool. Spurs, of course, going down to Chelsea this weekend, that was a real hard one for them. And of course, snubbing the manager and so on. So that was a bit difficult for them to take. As you mentioned, like Man City and Arsenal, they're going to duke it out. It depends if Arsenal choke again this year, but City do look a bit vulnerable, even though they are doing well this weekend. More interesting is, of course, down the other half of the table with West Ham in some serious bother. They are really looking like relegation fodder. Not Forest. I mean, they're going down. Wolves going down as well. West Ham, it looks like almost that they're going down as well. They are done. They're done and dusted. Terrible goings on. They should be at Upton Park. But again, if you look at it, Andrew, as you mentioned, at the top of the table, I mean, going back up again to Arsenal doing very, very well. Man City, Liverpool, that's the top 3 for the end of the season. Can United realistically break into that top 5 this season, or are they looking for a run in a cup, or possibly, another English team winning a European title and then giving them a route into
Well,
Europe, per se.
I mean, we've been knocked out of the cups already this season, and actually, I think that's probably why Manchester United are doing better now, because when you have a new style, okay, everybody looks at millionaire footballers and assume they should be able to do any footballing situation. But it does take a lot of time to adapt to a very different system. A back three for a start, wing backs who basically have to do has to be fullbacks, wingers, and wing backs all in one. I know effectively when people say wing back, they assume it loosely covers all up the flank, but wing backs largely are more attacking. Amorim expects them to defend a lot as well, and players are being moved into new positions. They've now got all week. They are no European fixtures, no cup fixtures. That humiliating exit to in the FA Cup, and now means that there's time to work on the tactics. I think getting into that top six, yes, is eminently possible. For a start, Sunderland, if they win their game on tomorrow night, they will go back to second in the table. Well, Sunderland, surely they can't that form carry that all the way through the season. I mean, perhaps they could, but Spurs are looking a little shaky. Thomas Frank had a bit of a tense exchange. I don't know if you saw this, Alan, after their defeat to Chelsea, when Jed Spence walked off the pitch and practically ignored him, and Thomas
Yeah,
Frank was sneering at him afterwards. It's those little
yeah,
signs that you see. There's fractures there, perhaps. Bournemouth outperforming expectations, Sunderland outperforming expectations. At some point, there's a chance they will crack. And let's be honest, Manchester United squad on paper should be beating most sides, apart from Arsenal, City, and Liverpool on paper. I would expect them on paper to beat most of the others. So the form keeps going. There aren't many injuries this season, which is unusual given the intensity of Amorim's system. He expects a hell of a lot of running. Um, the part I'm worried about is the African Cup of Nations coming up, when Brian and Boomer and Ahmed Diallo, really on great form at the moment, will be out for possibly longer than usual. The way AFCON is structured now, with more teams playing in it. So that period in January will be difficult. So perhaps we'll have a sticky period then. But like I say, unlike the other rivals for the top six, or most of them, no midweek distractions, and that might be the difference. That means they will actually be in a strong position to make that top 6 or 7 places. So I'm confident.